high school band, it's like, oh my God, I have everybody here today.
Yes.
It's a good
Oh,
rehearsal.
when does that happen? Tell me.
On the night of,
Well, welcome to French Press Friday. I've taken a number of weeks off. In April, I did a big push for Jazz Appreciation Month, and then I just needed to take some time away and focus on my job and my family, my job that I get paid for. But today I'm excited to speak with Lisa Weniger from Wadena Deer Creek. Thank you for coming in today, Lisa.
thanks, Scott, for inviting me.
Yeah. Want to ask everyone, take a moment, subscribe to the podcast and YouTube channel, like this video, because I think you're going to like this video, and click on the bell to be notified when new guests like the wonderful Lisa Weniger, when I post those. So I first met Lisa. You probably don't remember this because it's super random, but it was, probably almost 20 years ago now. We walked into a gym for a playoff volleyball game. And Wadena Deer Creek, how big is Wadena Deer Creek, the school?
Oh, our school's probably about 1,000, 1,000 students, K-12. So,
K-12, yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
And so it's relatively small
Yeah.
school. And I walk in and I hear this band just ripping. And Jim Iverson, my former colleague, was with me, and he's like, he pointed to you and he said, "Watch her, she's amazing." and and then through the years, we worked on a board together in the infant stages of it. I've really appreciated you, and I've really admired your bands. You've played at MMEA a number of times. So anyway, we're here today to talk about your origin story, as well as a little bit of wrap up the year stuff. So I'm kind of curious about your early music experiences. What was your early music experiences?
Oh, this is a story I always tell my kids of, how I get started, and think about how they're getting started. It's your parents investing in you, giving you something lifelong. And that's what my parents did. But I wasn't the usual fifth grader or sixth grader starting in band. I was like in third or fourth grade when my parents said, here's a flute. My mom said, I can help you learn it. And yeah, right. She played flute, but she never helped me with it. But it's like the band director at the time, here's the fingering chart, here's the intermediate Rubank book, not the first one, but the intermediate one, come on. And then the high school pep band music. That was my experience. It wasn't like Mary Had a Little Lamb and Hot Cross Buns or anything like that. But had to learn things, did it all on my own. I sat maybe down with a high school flute player, and she taught me a few things, and the way I went. And my first taste of band was high school. Our high school band was 712. So I grew up in South Dakota, and we had a small school. So we were 712, and my high school band experience was my first experience was pep band music, and I fell in love with that. And
Yeah.
I fell in love with the whole setting of the music making and the camaraderie with everybody, no matter what age level we were. And those kids just invited me in. It's like I was a third or fourth grader, and um, the youngest one. And it was just, I fell in love with it. So, I had many different band directors through my years, and but I didn't matter. I still loved it.
Yeah.
It was a passion. So, yep,
That's a very unique story to start so young.
yeah, yep. And I said, yeah, there was times it's like, did I like my band director? No, but I still liked music. I still loved what I was doing. And I'm going, I want to do this. I want to be that person on the podium. I want to do what they're doing. And that was my dream. And I'm one of those people living the dream.
Yeah.
So I've always have loved it. I've always have loved making music, either behind a music stand playing, or getting kids to get a product that gives them goosebumps when
So
making music. So,
do you know when that first struck you, the idea that, yeah, I want to be on the podium?
oh, probably not maybe not until high school when, or maybe junior high, when we got to do like the all conference band um, festivals and things like that, and we get guest conductors. I remember one Doc from Morris. He came, Jim Carlson, I think. He came to our band festival, and just how he could get us to play, you know, rehearse for a day in his conducting style. And, we had, I think maybe that was maybe one of my first times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I think that's kind of shows how important it is to be that kind of educator for our students to inspire them maybe to pursue this, and then
Yeah.
also to bring in people like Doc Carlson and whoever you have in your area, that maybe on that collegiate level that can really really inspire minds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where'd you go to college?
I did my undergrad in Marshall at Southwest State University. Now it's SMSU. And then I did my master's program at the University of South Dakota in Vermilion.
During college time, did you have any unique performance experiences? Anything you did that?
Yeah, besides your on-campus performances, our college band director, we did some trips. We went to Florida, Nashville, Georgia, places, just your usual college trips. And they were memorable. We had a lot of great experiences. So, yeah.
Yeah, this isn't really a question, maybe an observation. I think it's we travel so much in music, and I wonder what the root of that is in a way, because it's not in other classes, but it's like to me, it's so integral to our experiences for students, and probably because we know we want to expose them to different things, and that's one way to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. I totally agree. You know, um, I think in music is universal no matter really where you go. And so when we travel with our school groups now, it's like we're sharing what we do with the places that we're going to. So like go to Washington D.C., we play our patriotic music, but everybody knows those tunes, but it's the way we're doing it. But we're exposing our kids to other things that they normally won't get to do in other classrooms. And so we find it more educational experience for them
Yeah.
as well.
So this is kind of a hard question to answer. So
Okay.
if you need a moment, take it. But
Okay.
um, how did your college experience, like when you look back on it now, how do you feel like it shaped you as an educator?
Oh, um, yeah, band stuff, our band groups were great. The choral experience was awesome. I probably got the most out of it was my student teaching.
Mm,
I learned more from my student teaching because you're applying what you were learning,
yeah.
you know. Um, Music composition, do I do that? No. Do I apply my music theory? Yeah, maybe. Music history? Yeah. But it's like some of those other nuts and bolts that we go through to get our degree or all those general studies classes like European civilization. Do I use that? No, not really. But I think I got the most out of student teaching. And I wish there was more of that. Um, I wish there was like a year-long process instead of just a short window
Yeah.
where you do a whole year where you see the beginning of it and you go all the way to the end. And I saw the ending of it where they were auditioning for fall marching band. They were doing color guard, the drumline stuff, um, and then like the spring recruitment because they did their um, beginner lessons in the summer. So, but to see how they started beginners,
Yes.
that's the part I really wish I would have got to see because, man, my first year of teaching, those first couple of months, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I didn't know.
Yeah.
There were some of those instruments we didn't do in methods classes. And so I remember my first teaching saxophone and I'm like, yep, I think you got the fingers on the right keys. Yep, that looks good. And then all of a sudden we're going, God, what's wrong with this? That doesn't sound right. And you're sending the instrument in, you're looking at the kid. It's like, well, yeah, that's right. And finally, I just asked a high school kid, it's like, show me your finger. And oh, shoot, I had the hand on the top hand on the wrong keys. I went, oh, you didn't have Google or YouTube or any of those things back then. So I'm like, oh, I felt so bad. I'm like, oh, I'm such an idiot. It's like, those are the things I wish I had known or learned a little bit better. But um, yeah, I just remember that. And, but, wish there was a whole year to see that window.
Yeah,
I
and
like what the teacher.
all of it, like in grade level wise, because you talk about beginners
Yeah.
and figuring out how to start them and recruit them and get them excited for it. And then if you're student teach first semester, you get that. But
Yep.
second semester for us in Minnesota, at least, that's contest time, and that's like how do we prepare soloists and ensembles and yeah, I totally agree with you. I would love to see a university take that on and be like, this is how we give you the whole experience.
No experience. I dove in that second semester there, and right in March, and it's like my supervisor teacher, you ready to ride a bus? And I said, wherever you go, I'll be there. And it was like three bus rides a week. So we were in state tournaments for boys and girls basketball, and we went down for hockey. So it's like it was a full bore thing. And then contest was in the midst of it. We had solo ensemble contest. We made many trips to Mankato. And then we did the Lamberton Jazz Festival, and I did a lot of bus rides in the month of March and first part of April.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have a lot of good advice right there for anybody that's in their beginning teaching career or that's in college is like find a way to dive in and get
Hmm.
experiences. I
Yeah,
got to do a little bit of drum line when I was in college and worked with a marching band and just finding experiences because when you get a job, it's you, and sometimes you're isolated and you're the only one.
yeah. I was intimidated. I mean, I student taught at a larger school, and I wanted that large school experience. And because I came from a small school, so I knew all of that. But I wanted that large school experience, and I really felt intimidated, where I felt some of those students knew way more than I did, and because of their music that they were experiencing with their director. But yeah, it's just you got to dive in and get all of that good experience and get to know people. It's networking when you're doing all those things too.
Yeah. So what was your first job after college?
My first job was in Verndale, which is just 6 miles down the road from Wadena here. I was there for 5 years. I was their 512 band director.
Um, Stephanie, did she follow you over there, or she sometime
No.
after that?
Yeah, there was a couple people between me and Stephanie. I was in Verndale from 1993 to 1998. And
Okay.
then I took a leave of absence to get my master's. So I took a 1 year leave from education, and I went to Vermilion to get my master's. And I wanted to be, I knew at that point I wanted to be involved in the music program and not just do it distantly or online or anything like that. I wanted to be active in the ensembles, doing lessons, and um, just diving in and just learning way more.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my master's in education at SMSU,
Hmm.
and I really enjoyed that experience. But sometimes I think about maybe getting a second master's degree to get a different experience.
Yeah.
So I want you to think about Lisa back in 1993. Is that because I think you said that's when you started, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Um, what's some things you would tell yourself if you could go back to that person?
Oh, have better patience
Uh,
and understanding, and the things we've learned, like in our staff development, how home life of kids, um, their experiences, just having, I think, better patience and understanding. And
does that include for yourself too? Because I know for me,
it
that's one thing
does.
I would tell
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, it is. It's really for myself. And, you know, um, you're a parent and I'm a parent, and I'm an old mom because I had my child when I was 38, and she's made me a better human. She's made me a better human and understanding. And even now that she is in my band program, how I treat those kids are just way different than I treated and educated students in 93, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I thought, we're friends on Facebook. You and your daughter hang out a lot. You seem like you've got a pretty good relationship.
She's, it's like she's my best friend.
Yeah.
It's like we do a lot of things. Like yesterday after we were done with school, I asked her, I said, do you want to go out with your cousin to go to the golf course? I said, or do you want to wait with me? And she goes, why don't you and I go to the golf course today, Mom? So her and I went and did 9 holes yesterday after I was done with school. So yeah, we do a lot of things together.
That's great.
And then when my husband's home, her dad, his weekend is Sunday and Monday, and so Sunday it's like kind of their time together, and yeah,
Yeah,
so, yeah,
that's fantastic. I love seeing, because a lot of times we get pulled away from our families,
yep,
and so when you can make that work, and I'm waiting for the day when my son is in my band program too, so that when I'm pulling away from the family, I'm actually pulling them with me.
yep. I know. It's like when we talk about our experience, going back to '93 when I first started teaching, it's like you always wonder, kids don't practice, kids don't practice. It's like, oh my gosh, I have a child that doesn't practice. I have to go, do you think you go practice your instrument? You got 10 minutes. Think you can get off your Minecraft? You got 10 minutes. It's like I am the nagging parent to tell my child to practice. It's like, okay, now I get what everybody else is going through at home.
Yeah.
I am that parent now too.
It's like when we started piano just a couple years ago, it was like the first week was amazing. I'm like, this is easy. What are people
Yeah, I
talking
know.
about? He
I know.
loves playing the piano. And now it's like this contract negotiation that we go through.
I know. I did the sticker program and the awards program, bribery. It's like, oh my God.
All right. So we talked about first year Lisa, but now Lisa, you've done a lot of cool things in your career. I know I don't even know all of them. What are some of your notable highlights?
Oh, and you were there. It was when it was a highlight. You've been there. You've been there when you take your group to MMEA, you know. Um that was a highlight in my career.
Yeah.
It was just I could have died the next day and I would have been extremely happy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like my kids performed well. It was I thought we were the tornado school, but it's like, you audition and you get on your merit of what they listen to. They don't know who you are, and
Yeah.
when you do that, and you get to perform for your colleagues and your friends at the state music convention. And then 5 years later, you get to do it again, except you open the state music convention, and that was even I had a better learning experience after doing it before. But when you get to do those experiences and share those things with your kids, and they still talk about it. My seniors that I have this year were freshmen, and we're doing a pops concert here in a couple weeks, in person for the first time since March last year. And the seniors go, can we play one of the songs that we played at the music convention? And I said, yeah, which one do you want to do? And they go, Moon River. And I said, okay, we'll dig it out and we'll do it. So yeah, I'd say that's probably been my highlight is,
Yeah, there's
you know,
something, it was years ago that I took a group there, but it was affirming too, to like what I was doing. And you talked about, you could have died the next day, and that
yeah,
and that I agree, that feeling is very good. And then I feel like it's been easier to take that into my experiences in the classroom. And
mhm,
um like I enjoy every day like that, almost in a
yeah.
way. So that's maybe too cheesy here, but it's.
No, it isn't. I mean, it's just a highlight, and you gotta play and you gotta look at the chemistry. It's like, okay, I've got this chemistry of the group to do that audition. This is the chemistry I hope I have next year without any it's like, oh, I had to move out. It's like, well, there went the tuba player, there went the horn player. Oh, there's the oboe player. It's like, you have the move outs and then maybe you get a random move in and then, you gotta, it's almost like 2 or 3 year plan out, that what's
Yeah.
your chemistry of your group that's gonna be, do you have the horses and the chops to do some things or, you know, just can't when you do something like that, you can't over program. And I learned that from the first time. It's like I over programmed a few things and stretched my kids a little bit too much. And I said, this next time we're going to take it a little easy, and this is who we are. So,
Yep.
yeah. Hmm.
So you mentioned you're living the dream. That's very much how I feel too. Like I would say most mornings I wake up and I'm thankful for what I get to do.
And
I challenge my students regularly, like find the thing that you would pay to do in your life, and then find a way to get paid to do it, because that is just a recipe for some happiness.
no, that's exactly right. And I like how you put that. And I'm going to steal that, Scott,
I
because
stole it from Russ Peterson. He told me that in college at one point in time. So
well, I'm going to steal that because, there's moments, it's not always about music when I'm on the podium with my kids, but sometimes we just take a few moments in between pieces and have a conversation. The kids are talking about, they got to take that test to see what their likes are. And I'm going, I didn't need a test. I knew what I wanted to do in third or fourth grade.
yeah,
And when I did take the test in eighth grade, it's like music, 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 music. Well, I already know that. I didn't need a test. But I tell the kids, it's like, don't go to college just because it's there. Don't waste your money if you don't know what you're going to do. Don't waste your money if you don't have a passion for something yet, you know.
yeah,
And I have some kids, they go, thank you for saying that, because I'm sure they're feeling the pressures from other places. So, but
yeah.
yeah, and I don't, the kids are so, I call it dabbling. They're doing a little this, little this, little this, little this. Really, it's dabbling. It's like not honing in on just a true like.
Okay, so here's an imaginary scenario for you. I didn't send you this question ahead of time. Yeah, no, it's good though. I think you're gonna like it.
Okay.
Um, so here's the imaginary scenario. You're no longer going to be returning to Wadena Deer Creek. Okay, you're not gonna like that part, I know, but let's pretend you won the lottery and there's just you're just gonna go vanish somewhere on an island or something. And you are speaking to the person that's going to go into your job. What do you tell them about your students and your school?
Oh, my students are amazing. Um, you love them. You let them warm up to you. Don't change anything. Listen to them. Once you have them in the palm of your hand, then you can gradually change things, but don't do it all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? And I had to learn that. I've been into, my first teaching job, I replaced a person that had been there for 27 years. First year teacher, and it's like, well, this is what I want to do. And it's like, oh my gosh, kids did not like that change.
Yes.
My second job, oh, replaced, I always think they're third band director in 5 years. So I knew I had to be calm with those students, get them to know me, get them to come right here in the palm of my hand. And I remember one student, he said, are you even going to be here next year? I said, hey, I said, I'm here. I said, I'm not going anywhere. So, and I made it another year. He goes, I'm so happy to see you this year. you know,
Yeah.
and so the thing I just said is because of what I've learned over the
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I like, it's so true to like, especially when you're following a story director,
Hmm.
assimilate yourself. Don't try to assimilate the kids to you.
Yeah.
I remember my first teaching job. I would hate if this got to the person I follow, but it was in Illinois, so probably not. But the kids didn't really care for him. Some of them had shared that with me, and I was started changing things during first semester. And a kid approached me one day. He's like, "That's not how Mr. So and So did it."
Yeah.
I was like, but you didn't like it the way he did it. Like,
I know.
but they're so stuck on the way I mean, that's kids in general, on the way things have been. So Yeah,
Yeah,
changing things from the inside is a much better approach.
it is. And just, you gotta, I work with an amazing staff and administration, and not every school system is like that. And we're really supportive. And yeah, when your administration comes to your concerts and things like that, well, it helps when they have kids in your program, but you know, it's just all supportive. And it's just really nice to have
Yeah. I doubt there's an administrator listening to this. Maybe
that.
your administrator will.
Maybe, you never know.
Yeah, so shout out to your people, because I've had both. I've had administrators that show up, and I've never had an administrator that comes from music that knows what we do, but I've had some that show up and support, and I've had some that don't, and it makes a big impact. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to the students.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to flip gears here a little bit. I'm really curious about this. I would like to interview about 1,000 band directors and ask them about the end of the year practices they have, because I think we're all so different. And I think it's something that nobody ever talks about, really. We all have our own things that we do. So as your year wraps up, you have your final concert.
Hmm.
What do you keep on doing the rest of the year? How do you keep kids engaged?
Oh, I take out more music. It's like junior high, the eighth graders are going to be like freshmen, and their first experience is pep band music. And that's pretty intimidating for those eighth graders, because I don't slow things down. It's like you got to be in the boat at all times. Yes, you're going to fall out and sink to the bottom, but you're going to get back in. And you know, uh, the more you play this, the easier it gets. But for my junior high, I take out the easier pep band music and I dish that out to them, and we play that. And the high school, well, we usually go right through to the end. We got graduation. Unfortunately, we're not playing this year, but we're doing Memorial Day services,
Yeah.
and so that falls in that last week. And then, you know, but we continue to play. And fifth and sixth graders, we find more music and play. And sometimes it's like we take a break and I show a good musical, because they don't get those experiences. Um, they don't watch those things at home on
Hmm.
TV. So, and then sometimes with the fifth and sixth graders, we do a little composition. They write like something with 8 measures. I give them some perimeters. It's like, here's the scale, here's some examples of rhythms. Create an 8 measure thing, and here's the note you got to start on, the note you got to end on, the rest of it's yours. And then they perform them for their bandmates.
Yeah.
And we just keep learning all the way to the end. So
Yeah, I figured that was going to be your answer, but because sometimes get frustrated when I hear that directors like hang it up after the last concert, and
um,
and then they really struggle with keeping kids engaged, and they want to know what to do, and it's like, keep playing.
keep
That's
playing. That's the
because
key.
it's fun, and it doesn't have to be about a concert.
Yeah.
It could just be about fun.
Yeah, we still do our lessons and things. Like the last week of school is such a hodgepodge, because there's like little mini field trips, or um, the last day of school is just a half a day, so I really don't see anybody. But making sure instruments are home, or they got their supplies that they need, or where are you at with a lesson book? Here's your next one. You can look ahead. I do assignments and things like that for them to look at over the summer. So
Yeah, you're ahead of me then, because that's something that's occurring to me this year, is like with my high schoolers, I want to challenge them with, I think I'm going to give them solos,
yeah,
and say, hey, just look at this a little bit this summer. If they don't, they don't, and they're no worse off than they were before. But
right.
I've got some kids that probably will, and they'll
Yeah.
be motivated to practice. So
Hmm. Yeah, and it's amazing. I get some, you know, I was looking at one of the kids the other day, and he had his phone on the music stand. It's like, when I looked at him going, my God, he's got music on his phone. How can you read that? But it's like, it was interesting. There's so many kids that look up things these days just to play.
yeah,
They find free things on the websites, and just to play and have fun. So yeah.
yeah, there's lots of resources for kids. It's funny because I've had the same experience this year. Kids will bring up music and they'll show it to me. They'll print it off for me and give it to
Yep.
me. And I've got a student that, because of that, the accessibility of things on YouTube, and Muse Score is another really good one. Those
Mhm.
two things sparked an interest for him in composition. And so
Oh, yeah.
we've started having that conversation. So
Yeah.
I think it sounds like this is already starting to happen for you. Like you interweave like you're planning for next year into what you're doing this year. Do you have like, when do you really begin start planning for next year?
Oh, probably July.
Yeah.
July and August. I go, back when I first started teaching, J.W. Pepper sent out those free CD, things and promotional things, and I'd sit there and I'd listen nonstop. Well, then I'd go to workshops and, you listen to the band or you play with the band and you find music for your groups. And, I did that for years. Um, University of South Dakota they do it every year. They bring in a composer. One of the music stores, they bring in a composer, and then you play all the publications from all the publishing companies. So we went through 120 pieces, all grade levels. And I find my music that way. But, now my summer is, I try to shut my brain off so it becomes fresh.
Yeah.
And then when I'm ready to rock and roll, it's like I listen to a few things and plan and something from each grade level. It's like I got to have a march for every one of them, 2 or 3 marches, because you can't go wrong with a march. And I had to learn that. It wasn't always there. It's like listen to the pieces. It's like if I like it, my kids will like it. If I don't like it, I can't sell it to my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
But yeah, it's probably July. It's into July when I start really thinking about it. So
Like I do a lot of different things, but I definitely like agree with you. Take time off. Everyone should do it.
yep.
But it doesn't become kind of like an itch a little bit, and like end of July is like, oh, I kind of want to start listening to X thing or
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bit. Yeah. It's sometimes it's almost middle of August. It's getting later and later a little bit. It's like, I get an itch, but I'm going, oh God, the time goes by so fast.
yeah,
It's like I just went down to school. It's like this school year. I feel like this school year has gone by fast, which has been good, because it needed to. But I'm like, God, yeah. I my I just feel like we haven't had enough time yet either with
yeah,
the kids.
yeah.
So
So I'm curious. This is another thing I would love to talk to a bunch of band directors about, because
hmm,
different approaches.
yep,
How do you approach programming concerts? Like, do you consider the whole year? Do you go concert by concert?
yeah. I go concert by concert, and I have been doing this for quite a few years, and I'm not very good at programming music.
It's
You
it's
know,
super hard
it is. It's like
because
I know
you
it's like I want that march, I want that opener, I want that stretch piece, I want something that the audience is gonna really connect with, and it's just finding that, and sometimes it's just a hodgepodge of stuff.
yeah. I've actually taken to trying to program my whole year with flexibility, because you get into September and the group you thought was there is maybe not there,
Right.
or they're exceptional for some, they um but because I had the same thing, like concert at concert, it was so hard to program because I was essentially trying to do everything in one concert. And it
hmm
really freed me up to like be like, well, I might not do a march in every concert, but I've got a march programmed, and I've
Yep.
got um okay. So I think you've kind of already talked about this a little bit, but I'm curious of how you manage your time in the summer. You've kind of mentioned that you like to take some time off. Do you do stuff during June? Are you busy with band stuff during June at all?
You know what? No. My school year is done in May. When school year is done, then I'm done. So um I don't do any marching band in the summer, and I don't do any summer lessons. I used to do summer lessons a lot. And then there was one year where they were offered and I just had a few kids and I started to see what the kids were doing. And and I just thought, you know what? The kids need to have their summer too.
Yeah.
You know, And the kids, and I tell my kids, I need you to be kids in the summer. I know you all work, but be a kid, enjoy some time, do some activities, do the things you don't get to do during the school year. You do enough for me in the 9 months I see you. Go have fun. So, and we'll just pick it up back up in September. So that's just been my philosophy lately. And for me, yeah, the month of June, it's like, well, after we're done today, my daughter and I are going to go plant our flowers. So, well, and so I enjoy my time in the summer. It's being outside, and
So what
my
activities you garden
yeah,
and
yeah,
golf
yeah.
and
We garden and golf, and then on the weekend we go, shore fishing or whatever. But we do a family vacation every year.
yeah.
So this summer we're heading west to Yosemite National Park, and planning, it's like, you travel with your group and I travel with my group. So it's like planning and being the tour guide. And so watching, looking at those websites and seeing how things are opening up here after the pandemic and what the restrictions still are. But we're going to Yosemite and we have our reservation made for the day pass. I had to sit on the computer last Wednesday, 10 o'clock. They were releasing 1,600 passes for the day. 10 o'clock hit and I went, go, go, go. I'm like, there's high traffic on the internet right now. Please check back. I'm not checking back. I need a ticket for that day. And so I think after like 15 minutes, I finally got my ticket to get into the park. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then my daughter, she collects beach glass. First it was rocks off of Lake Superior. We'd come home with a carload of rocks, and now she's found the passion of beach glass. And so she Googled that. She goes, Mom, look at this place. And I said, that's in the United States. She goes, yeah, it's in California. Fort Bragg, California is our main destination. And if you look it up, this entire beach is beach glass.
Oh, cool.
It is just gorgeous. And so I said, we wanted to go to Canada, but they're not taking Americans yet. So, so we're going to go to Fort Bragg. And then on our way back, we're going to go to Yellowstone. So it's just going
That
to be,
sounds like an awesome trip.
yeah. So I've got, the hotels are made and we know our route and things like that. So I've got the food places, picked out, and I have a palate of, I can eat anything. So, but my family, you're gonna have to learn to eat something besides chicken nuggets and burgers. So as you head west, your palate better change.
Well,
So
Lisa, you have such a healthy approach to your job because I think that people need to see that it's good to take time away because it feeds you going into the year and you can come into the year like mentally healthy. And it's clear that you're doing it right because you've got a great band program there. I always admired you and what you're doing in Wadena.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for speaking with me today.
Thanks a lot for inviting me.